Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I didn't plan to be home early that afternoon. The job site shut down faster than expected. Rain coming in hard, and I figured I'd surprise Elizabeth by cooking dinner instead of picking up takeout again. She was 16 now, old enough to pretend she didn't care, young enough to still expect things without saying them. I parked a block away, habit more than thought, and walked in quietly through the side door. Her shoes were by the stairs. Laughter floated from the living room, not just hers. Friends. I smiled to myself and set my keys down gently, not wanting to interrupt. I stood in the hallway, half hidden by the wall, when I heard my name, or at least a version of it she used when she wasn't talking to me. "My dad is so clueless," Elizabeth said, her voice light, careless, like she was talking about the weather. The laughter that followed wasn't cruel, just easy, comfortable, that somehow made it worse. I didn't move. I didn't clear my throat. I stayed where I was unseen, listening to my daughter talk about me like I wasn't real. "He thinks he understands me," she went on. "Like, he tries, I guess, but he has no idea what my life is actually like." Someone asked, "Isn't he super strict?" Elizabeth scoffed. "No, he's worse. He thinks being calm fixes everything. He asks questions like that's enough." I felt something tighten in my chest. I'd always thought asking was better than assuming. Another voice chimed in, "At least he cares." "Yeah," Elizabeth said quickly. "He cares. That's the problem. It's embarrassing sometimes." I leaned back against the wall, suddenly aware how tired my legs felt, how heavy the day had been before it even started. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. I felt outdated, like a phone no one used anymore, but kept around because it still worked. Elizabeth kept talking, filling the room with details about school, about friends, about things she never told me. I learned more about her in 5 minutes of eavesdropping than I had in weeks of polite dinners and short answers. I thought about all the small choices I made thinking they mattered. Waiting up when she was late, leaving notes on the counter, asking how her day really was, even when she shrugged. I wonder when those things stop counting. If this part of the story resonates with you, please tap the like button so stories like this can reach more people who need them. One of her friends asked, "Does he know you feel like that?" Elizabeth paused. Just a beat, long enough for hope to flicker. "No," she said, "and I don't want him to. He'd make it weird. He'd want to talk about it." The laughter returned, softer this time. I closed my eyes. That word stuck with me. Weird. Like caring was a flaw. Like showing up without knowing the rules was something to mock. I thought about saying something. Stepping into the room. Letting her see that I'd heard every word. But I didn't. Not because I was afraid of confrontation. Because I realized this wasn't a moment that could be fixed by talking. I walked quietly back toward the kitchen, the idea of cooking dinner suddenly pointless. I poured myself a glass of water and stood there, staring at nothing, listening to the rhythm of voices rise and fall behind me. If you were in my position, comment below what you think a parent should do in that moment. Speak up or stay silent. Elizabeth's voice drifted again. "He still thinks I'm the same kid I was years ago." That one landed hard, not because it was untrue, but because I didn't know when it became a problem. I looked down at my hands. Hands that had tied her shoes. Hands that had held her steady on a bike. Hand that suddenly felt useless. If the story reminds you of someone you love but can't quite reach anymore, type the word distance in the comments. I heard chair scrape. Movement. The visit was wrapping up. I straightened, forced my face into something neutral, something safe. When Elizabeth walked into the kitchen and saw me, her smile froze for half a second before settling. "Hey," she said, "you're home early." "Yeah," I replied. Thought I'd make dinner. Her eyes flicked past me, toward the living room. "Oh, we were just about to head out." "Okay," I said, too quickly. "Have fun." She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed my cheek. A reflex. Automatic. She didn't see what it cost me. As the door closed behind them, the house felt bigger. Quieter. Not empty. just hollowed out. If you know someone who would understand this feeling without needing it explained, please share this story with them thoughtfully. I stood alone in the kitchen, realizing something I wasn't ready to say out loud yet. Whatever gap existed between me and my daughter didn't appear overnight, and pretending it would close on its own might be the most clueless thing I'd done of all. I didn't sleep much that night, not because I was angry, but because my mind kept replaying Elizabeth's voice, the casual certainty in it. By morning, I'd reached a quiet conclusion. I couldn't control how she saw me. I could only decide how I showed up next. I didn't confront her the next day, or the day after. I watched instead. Listened. I noticed how often she filled silence with her phone, how quickly she retreated when questions got too close. I realized something uncomfortable. I'd been parenting on instinct, not intention, assuming effort was enough without checking if it still landed. A week later, I asked her to grab coffee with me. Neutral ground. No pressure. She almost said no. Almost. We sat across from each other, steam rising between us. She talked about school, about a teacher she didn't like, about a friend who was being dramatic. I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. When there was a pause, I didn't rush to fill it. Finally, I said, "I'm probably going to say this wrong, so stop me if I do." She looked up, guarded but curious. "I know I don't always get your world," I said, "and I'm not asking you to explain it to me perfectly. I just want you to know I'm trying to understand, not control." She frowned slightly. "Why are you saying this?" I took a breath. "Because I don't want to be someone you feel embarrassed by, or someone you think doesn't listen." Her eyes flicked away. Silence stretched. This one felt different. Heavy but honest. "I didn't say you don't listen," she muttered. "I know," I said. "You didn't say it to me." Her shoulders stiffened. For a moment, I thought I'd miscalculated everything. Then she exhaled, slow and shaky. "You heard," she said quietly. "Yes." She waited for anger, for guilt, for a lecture. I gave her none of it. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," she said. I don't know how to be myself at home without feeling like I'm disappointing you." That one surprised me, not because it was dramatic, but because it was precise. "I didn't know you felt that way," I said. "That's kind of the point," she replied. We sat there, two people realizing the same truth from different sides. That love, when unexamined, can turn into pressure without anyone meaning it to. If this part of the story feels uncomfortably real, comment below with one word you think best describes this moment: honesty, fear, or relief. I didn't promise to change overnight. She didn't promise to open up completely. What we agreed on was smaller and more realistic. Fewer assumptions, more clarity. Permission to say, "I don't get it," without it becoming a fight. On the drive home, she asked if we could listen to music. She chose something I didn't recognize. I didn't complain. I listened. It felt like progress measured in inches, not miles. Weeks passed, not magically better, just different. She still rolled her eyes sometimes. I still said the wrong thing now and then, but the edge was gone. The sense that we were opponents instead of allies. One evening, she stopped in the doorway of the kitchen and said, "Hey, my friends think you're actually kind of cool now." I raised an eyebrow. "That's a low bar." She smiled despite herself. Later that night, I thought about that afternoon. I'd overheard everything. How close I'd come to hardening instead of learning. I realized something else, too. Being clueless isn't always about ignorance. Sometimes it's about not asking yourself if the way you've always loved someone is still the way they need it. If this story made you reflect on your own relationships, start a discussion in the comments. Do parents need to adapt as much as kids do, or more? Elizabeth isn't suddenly an open book. I'm not suddenly a perfect father. But there's space now where there used to be silence. And that feels like something worth protecting. If this story meant something to you, please comment with your thoughts, and subscribe, not just for more stories, but because conversations like this matter, and they deserve to keep going.